Welcome. You're listening to the I'm Wired to Inspire podcast, creatively engineered by Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist. I'm Wired to Inspire is a powerfully packed 5-minute podcast filled with inspiration and encouragement to get you through your day. It's designed to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Now stay tuned for your host, Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist, on today's episode of I'm Wired to Inspire.
It's BeBatonRouge Soul Sundays with Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist, showered with power series.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for listening to Soul Sunday with BeBatonRouge. And I am your host this month, Robin Nicole, the inspiration specialist, and I am wired to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. This month, guys, the topic was inspired by April showers, but we just did our own little twist on it. We're going to be focusing on being showered with power. Now, power is an acronym, and it reads P for purpose, O for originality, W for warrior, E for empowerment, and R for resilience. There are so many of you who are listening right now. You are not listening to this by mistake. This is not something that you happened upon. Trust me, if you hear it, you're supposed to hear it. This entire process this month, guys, we want to really get to the bottom of what it is that you've been seeking, what it is you've been working toward. There are some of you almost feel like you're at a standstill because you have not been able to figure out what your focus should be. But this is what this is all about. We want to take some time out and highlight the things that you have done, the things that you are working on, or maybe even trying to work on in the future, but you just feel like you just don't get it. You don't understand what's up. You're like, oh my goodness, I cannot figure out what my power is. I feel helpless. There's some of you who are listening. You're very successful. You're moving right along, but you're feeling like something is missing. You're feeling a little bit of emptiness. You may be seeing other things happening all around you, but you can't quite get a handle on why things aren't the way you like them to be for your own life. Well, guess what? You are in luck, because today we will be talking about the first part of the letter P and the acronym, and that is purpose. One of the things that I'm called to do is I'm wired to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. And many times when people ask me about that, they kind of think it's just one set answer and bada boom, bada bing, that's it. But that's not necessarily how it works. So I want to give you guys some tips. I want to break some things down for you so that you can begin to get those breakthroughs you've been seeking. You want to be able to get those things that you've been feeling deep on the inside, and they've just been feeling unattainable. You've been feeling on some level as if you have it in your mind, but you don't know how to make it go from your mind to paper into actuality, and it's something that you're living. Well, let me tell you something. Many of you have been in a place in your life where you may have already been established. You may have gone through different tracks with your career. You may have had family, children, and all of these things, right? Then there's another group of you're just trying to figure it out. You're not quite sure about, which way the wind will blow right now. And you may be feeling some heaviness with that. Or you may be someone who's come to a certain age and you say, man, I have not accomplished nearly as much as I thought I would have accomplished at this age. And I feel like I don't have any purpose. Well, let me tell you something. There's so many different ways to get into the groove of figuring out what your purpose is for you. Now, something that I've learned over time, guys, is that there can be something there can be a thing about you, right, that no one else does. And this is the beautiful thing about God, because God blesses all of us with something unique, just like our fingerprints. 7 billion people in the world, and there's no one else like you. There's no one else that will ever have your fingerprint. There's no one else who will ever have the same strands of hair that you have. There are multiple things that we can highlight that God gives only to us. So that's what I want to talk to you today about when we think about our purpose, because these are the kind of things that people often overlook, and we don't want to overlook this. We want to really get to the bottom of exactly what it is that you do that sets you apart. Now, the first thing I want you to think about is this. What are you complimented on a lot? It can be the smallest thing. Y'all, sometimes we put too much weight on things because we want them to be, well, not so much that we want them to be, but we think that it has to be so heavy and it has to be so perfect. But does someone compliment you on how you do your hair all the time? or maybe what you cook, or maybe even how you look, or maybe you're a great listener, or maybe you give great advice, or maybe they say you're my friend that's clutch. Every time I need you, you are clutch. You may be the person, and they say, man, every time you fold your towels, every time you fold your sheets, my God, it's impeccable. I've never seen anything like it. They may say, man, you clean up so well. Like whatever you touch is sparkling. It's great. Oh, you may detail those cars so well. What I'm trying to get at, guys, is this. Many of you are sitting on a gold mine, and you think that you don't have what it takes to make it. I'm going to give you an example. I was talking to a very beautiful, accomplished young woman the other day. Okay. She has made well over 6 figures in her span of maybe a 10 to 15 year career. Okay. And she came to a crossroads and she wanted to make some changes, and she had a great idea for an app. Okay. So when we were talking about it, I said, oh my goodness, like this is great. The first thing she said was, I don't have $50,000 to make an app. And I was like, whoa, slow down, Tito. Nobody said nothing about you having to have $50,000. Where did you get that from? Well, she just automatically assumed, because she has no idea what the tech world is about, that she doesn't have the means. She doesn't have the money to do it. And I said, well, number one, you should never not shell out your ideas because of money. So that's something I want you guys to think about as well. Many of you have not launched into purpose because you're worried about money. Now, I will not sell you any wooden nickels, and I'm going to give it to you 100. You will need provision. You will need money. You will need finances at some point in whatever it is that you are doing. But many times people go to the grave with all of these brilliant ideas, living a life that lacked purpose because they thought they needed money to make it happen. Other people think that, well, because it's not fancy and it's not on TV and you don't have 8 million people following you on social media, then what you have is not of value. Then maybe nobody likes what you're doing, or maybe it's not good enough. Well, here's the thing that you have to understand. Everybody has something very specific, and depending on where you are in your life, your purpose will expand, it will grow, and in some cases, it may even change. Because many times God will put us in a place for a season, y'all. For a season. I don't know who needs to hear this today, but for a season. And sometimes you're trying to stretch it, and then you begin to feel that you lack purpose, and you begin to feel that you lack drive, because it seems as if what you were doing is no longer working. But y'all, this thing is fluid. It keeps changing as long as you keep growing. So I want to begin to speak to you today about your particular purpose. And the first thing I want you to do, after you figure out what's the thing I'm complimented on, I want you to sit and write it down. Take some notes. Look at it. Mull over it. Figure things out. Say, okay, you know what? They tell me that, I do my hair well. It doesn't take me long. It's super easy for me. Doesn't take me any time. You may have some type of purpose that has to do with hair. You may have something that may have to do with hair care products. It may not even be that. You just may have something where you connect to someone else or another situation, and your gift of doing that can expand. Okay. And the reason why I try to get people to pay attention to the things that you're complimented on is because it's natural. It's what God has given you. It's effortless. You're not even trying. And what I want you to know is this: you can get to a point in your life where you wake up every day and you do what you love and you're helping other people. You can get paid for it, and you can have the life that you desire. It is possible for all of us. And I also think that many times when you look at other people's story, you're looking at your colleagues, you're looking at your friends, or you might just be sitting at home in your mom and daddy house and you old, and you thinking, hey, I'm old, I'm this age, I don't need to be doing this, or everybody else has something to say. Listen, there are so many different stories, guys, that you cannot get hung up on what you thought it would be. You can't get hung up on what others thought it should be for you as well. Because there are people who listening, you thought you were going to be married forever and you ended up getting a divorce. There's some of you never wanted to be married or have children, and now you have a husband and a house full of children, or a wife and a family that you never even thought you would have. So my point to you is this: anything can happen. There are people riding high, super rich, and guess what? One day they may not have $1. There are people who are broke. They're living their dreams. inside. Nobody knows that they're living their dreams because the world doesn't know. They're still working on it. They're still toiling. They're still in the trenches. They're still doing all the underground work. And it may seem like it's worthless, but then you'll see them one day and guess what? They will appear to be an overnight success, but no, there will be like a several bunch of years and several bunch of hours success because they're doing the things when no one else is looking. And that's what I want to encourage you to do, because that very person who was broke today could be the person that's rich tomorrow, and the person that's rich today could be broke tomorrow. So you cannot put so much weight on other people. When we are talking about being showered with power this month, we are talking about showering yourself with the things that you need so that you can get the breakthrough you deserve. You can get the information that you desire so that you can get to the next phase of this thing for yourself. There's so much weight on subconsciously thinking about other people. But now I want you to think on these things. What is it that I'm complimented on? Now you figure out, what is it that I'm good at? Now that I've written it down, I'm looking at it. What do I enjoy doing? What do I personally think that I do well? What have I studied and I actually feel like this is a great part of my skill set? What do I do where I can make money? What are the things that tug at my heart? What are the things that I do that help other people? Because y'all, purpose is something that makes you feel like you want to get up every morning. You feel like, when I do this, I'm going to add some value to the world. It's one thing to work, but it's another thing to do it purposefully, because that is how you add value. One of the most incredible things that I love is that God uses us in all stages and all phases of life. You do not have to be fancy. You do not have to have all these bells and whistles. I saw this one time, and it was a story about a janitor. And this janitor worked at this place probably for 30 to 40 years or something like that. And everybody absolutely loved this man. And it wasn't because he owned the building, and it wasn't because, he was making six figures like everybody else. He had a regular salary. But you know what, y'all? This man's purpose, his purpose was beautiful. It was brilliant, and it was his. I want you to be encouraged, because some of you feel like your purpose is tied to being a millionaire. Some of you feel like, well, it doesn't count if everybody doesn't know. It's what you're doing when people are not looking, because God sees what you're doing. When this is about filling up your soul, when this is about really getting to the heart of the matter, this is when you begin to focus on the things that you know that you have, and with a pure heart, you can give to other people. This is how you begin to cultivate your purpose. This is how you begin to be the person that God has called you to be. I do not want you to get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. If you are hearing this, it is not a mistake. And I want to encourage you. If you are someone who is already operating in purpose, and you know that you are consistently adding value to this world every day, I need you to pay it forward now. I need you to go pull up a mentee, go get someone else, and help them find their purpose as well. If you are someone listening and you feel like, I got money, I have prestige, I do all these things, but I don't feel like what I'm doing has purpose, I want you to stop what you're doing and figure out. Take a moment. Ask God, what is it that I'm doing or not doing? What am I missing here? What is it that I can do that can add value to this particular situation so that I can make other people better? Y'all, that's always the end game, y'all. We don't want to be selfish. When you have a full, purposeful life, you are not going to necessarily have all the answers. You are not necessarily going to always get it right. But when you live a life of purpose, you will see that you will be making other people smile. You will see other changes that come as a result of your obedience. You will see your world completely turn the other way around, because you have taken the time and you've invested the time in doing exactly what it is you know that you are called to do. So I don't care if it's sweeping floors. I don't care if it's being a world-renowned speaker. I don't care if you're the person who takes the money at the parking lot when people go and park their cars, and you give them the ticket and you take the money. I don't care what it is that you do. Do not belittle or minimize who you are or what you do. Your story is your story. There is no set way to do it. It is so easy to get caught up in the lie that your purpose has to be this and it has to be that. You are going to blaze your own trail. Your trail is not for anyone else to blaze but you. And that's why I want you to understand this on a very simple level. All you have to do is try. All you have to do is make an attempt. All you have to do is put forth effort. Some of you are listening and you have good intentions, but you're not doing the work. Y'all, when we're talking about purpose takes work. It takes drive. We have to take the things that God has given us and we have to put action to them bad boys. We can't just be talking about it and saying, oh man, I don't know what my purpose is, but you're literally not doing the work. You're not trying to cultivate your gifts and your talents. You're just sitting around every day. You know, you may be a great athlete, but you don't want to practice. You know that you may be a great singer, but you don't want to get a vocal coach. And let me just say this too. Many times people think when you're a singer, you don't need a vocal coach. Well, listen, you don't get a vocal coach because you can't sing. You get one because you can sing. So that is what I want to encourage you guys to know. Whatever it is that you are called to do, you have to continue to add value to that thing. Because guess what? You don't want to be selfish with it. You want to be able to put that thing out there and they come back and say, you know what? Because of you, I didn't quit. Because of you, I didn't give up. I put everything on the line because you inspired me. It's because you blazed your own trail. Now I'm blazing mine. And I want you to keep this close to your vest this entire month. I want every Sunday when you hear this, I want your soul to be full. And I want you to know something. You have the ability to achieve anything you put your mind to. When you are talking about living your authentic purpose, that is when you are no holds barred and you are not overly concerned about what someone thinks about you or how you have to do something for someone else. We want to be conscious of other people. We want to help other people. But let me tell you something. You will not get into your purpose. You will not live authentically if 1, you're giving from an empty tank. If 2, you're not doing the work. And number 3, you don't believe that you have something to give. Stop minimizing what you have. Begin to ask God to transform you by the renewing of your mind so you can see that thing the way He sees it. This is about you and what you're called to do, what your purpose to do. And no, it may not be fancy. It may not be a bunch of bells and whistles, but you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it is something that you are supposed to do. So I want you to make sure you take pride. You operate in excellence. If you're working on that blog, if you're taking those pictures, if you're fixing those tires, if you're making those dresses, if you're selling that food out of your trunk, just trying to get people to see what you have, if you're selling your CDs and your music, if you're creating your webisodes and all of your stuff on YouTube and Instagram, and you're trying from the ground up, you're not trying to fake and buy followers, you're trying to do everything authentically. If you are that person, you're working at that community center, you're working at that gas station, you are that doctor saving lives, it does not matter. The entire spectrum. Hey, you could be the person on the radio, you could be the person with the website, you can be the person building and designing and doing the graphics. It does not matter. I want you to know you have purpose in you. And even if you're operating in it, it is time to encourage someone to begin to operate in theirs. And if you are not, be encouraged, because you heard this today for a reason. I want your mind, your body, and your soul to be filled with the knowledge that as long as you step out, as long as you, even if you say, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing, even if you just start with that, at least you're putting it out there that there is more. And at least that's something to start with. So I don't want you to belittle any part of this process. I don't want you to ever think that you are not good enough, because you are. And even if you feel like right now, none of it matters, none of it makes sense, I don't know what to do, you're literally doing a little hunching the shoulders emoji. You're just like, I don't know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Even if that's you, I want you to be inspired to begin to live authentically, whatever that's going to look like for you. Be patient with yourself. Show yourself loving kindness. And remember something, every day is a new day to receive God's grace and mercy. Every day is a new day for you to get another shot. Every single day. Every single day. Don't you ever forget that. And I hope today that you got something out of the first day of the Showered with Power series here with BeBatonRouge on Soul Sundays. And I want to make sure that you join me next Sunday, and the topic will be originality. We're going to not only talk about how you can be exactly who you're supposed to be and using your original gifts, your original talents, but then you're going to be able to pair it with today, your purpose. And by the time we get to the R, it'll all make sense at the end of the month. So make sure you join me next week. I am Robin Nicole, the inspiration Specialist, and you just heard Soul Sundays with BeBatonRouge.
Thanks for listening to I'm Wired to Inspire podcast at I'mWiredToInspire.com. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word and be sure to hit the 5-star rating on iTunes. For more information on this podcast and inspirational products and services, log on to the inspirationspecialist.life or I'mWiredToInspire.com. And remember to live your authentic purpose. Thanks again, and see you next time.